First of all, I wanted to congratulate the producers. I want to congratulate the cast, the director, everyone that worked on this movie. Um, I'm hoping that they're proud of the movie that they made. So, I'm just kidding. Hey everyone, I'm George. Welcome to the video. Today, we're going to talk about the fantastic four first steps in a spoiler-free review. I've watched the movie yesterday for the first time and just wanted to discuss my overall thoughts about it, some things I liked, some things I didn't like. Fantastic Four first steps. So, this movie has been hyped up a lot because initially it was supposed to be directed by John Watts, the director of the Spider-Man trilogy, but recently changed directors to Matt Shakman, who directed a lot of episodes of WandaVision. So, let's just say my overall thoughts on the movie. It was fantastic.
Say that again?
He really was fantastic. So, Matt Shakman, he was a perfect director for this team and for these characters. He understands these characters and brings them everything that they are known for in everything that drives them and where they come from. Especially with The Thing, with one of my favorite characters of the Fantastic Four. I like to see a lot more of his backstory, even though it wasn't a lot, but we see a lot of things that drives Ben and where he comes from initially as a kid. So he handles these characters with such care about these characters a lot, and it shows that not only in the movie but also in marketing. He expresses how much he loves this team, how he's loved them since he was a child. But let's talk about the stuff that everyone wants to know, the cast. So in my personal opinion, everyone in the cast was perfect for the role. Everyone from Peter Pascal to Vanessa Kirby to Joseph Quinn to Ebert Bachrach, everyone was perfect in their respective role. Even though I had my doubts on Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards and on Joseph Quinn as Human Torch, I was sold from the first time I saw them both. Reed was really good in the movie. I loved seeing the guilty side that he has, like he has in the comics. He basically the one responsible for the accident. He says he blames himself for the accident that gave them their powers, and then throughout later in the movie, in a big plot thing, he also blames himself for basically selling over the world to protect their child. This is something that is in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything for anyone. Vanessa Kirby was also really good as Sue Storm. One of the things I loved about this performance is how we see her throughout the movie getting angrier, I'd say, because of the situations, but also be the powerful character that we know her to be, not only in powers, but also in character. With this whole Franklin Galactus stuff, obviously opposes giving Galactus Franklin. And we see her a lot of times having discussions with Reed, using her powers to her full extent to protect Franklin. So yeah, one of the things I really liked about the movie was Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. Back to Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch. I was sold from the first time I saw him. I had my doubts when he was cast, but throughout the trailers I really got sold on that role, and seeing him in the movie was just a perfect Johnny Storm that I wanted to see in the theaters. He portrayed both a funny and a smart Johnny, which I think is the best way to go with this character. Someone who makes jokes, about with the Thing and stuff, and also is smart because don't forget he managed to go on that astronaut ship to space when they got their powers for a reason. So I love this version of Johnny, and hopefully we see him have his friendship with Spider-Man in one of the future Avengers movies, because I love that friendship in the comics, and we still need to know if Spider-Man is confirmed for Avengers Doomsday Secret Wars. I'm guessing he probably will be. He's such a big character, so Sony would be stupid not to allow Marvel to use them, Spider-Man. And lastly, Ebert Bachrach as The Thing. The Thing, as I said before, is my favorite Fantastic Four member in the comics and in other media. So his design was perfect. I loved his character, but this is one of the negatives I got about this movie, is that a couple storylines felt a little short-sighted. It had like the short end of the stick, and The Thing was unfortunately one of them. He had this side plot with a romantic interest in the movie, which I'm not gonna say who's the actress, but yeah, that felt a little thrown to the side most of throughout the movie, where it came up once in the beginning, once around the middle, and then one time in the end. So I really wish we would have gotten a lot more of this subplot with The Thing, and also a lot more emotional stuff, because even though this is 4 years after they got their powers, Ben also is now seen just because of his rocky appearance. And he obviously misses, being a human, as we saw in that one shot of him watching himself in the TV before he got the figure like that. Let's talk about the villains a bit. So Silver Surfer, Shalla and Galactus. In my opinion, those two villains were perfect, just perfect, utilized to what they needed to do in that story. But the only thing I really have about Shalla is that at some point in the movie she just disappears until the final act, which makes sense, in the concept of the story. But I think that when you're watching the movie, you will really notice that when she shows up at the end. But yeah, I really like everything they did with her. We saw some of her origin in the movie, and also the surf ride scenes with her, especially in space. That sequence in space was perfect. That like 10-12 minutes of that chase scene in space was incredible, with Silver Surfer and Galactus chasing the Fantastic Four, of course. But everything she did, from her powers to surfing like on the black hole, it was beautiful, really. And Galactus, whoa. This movie, every time they were on Earth, gave me vibes of Lego Marvel Superheroes 1. I don't know why. I don't know why that is, but those are the vibes I got from this movie. And seeing Galactus in New York definitely did not change that. Ralph Fiennes as a perfect voice for Galactus, and I felt it in the theater. But Galactus was also another villain that I thought was utilized to perfection. We see his motives, and we learn that what he does. He destroys worlds, looking for energy for him to feed on. And one thing I really appreciate with the use of Galactus in this movie is almost every scene that he was in, the use of miniatures and cinematography with Galactus was very good, because behind the scenes they made an actual on-set costume for Ralph Fiennes to use as Galactus, and they also did like a lot of miniature work for him to go around New York and his ship. So I love that a lot. I love when movies go practical instead of just dumping a lot of money into CGI. So Matt Jackman has my approval on that. Let's talk a bit about the world. The world we saw a lot of, especially just in New York, but there were a lot of other parts of the world that were shown in the movie, from Paris to other countries. When you watch the movie, you will get what I'm saying now with the other countries. But let's talk about New York. New York had a very special aesthetic, especially with the 60s inspired aesthetic that it had. 60s and like retrofuturism. I like that a lot. From the things we saw from the ground, from Yancey Street to the skyline of New York in a couple of shots, I loved everything we saw, and it complemented beautifully with the cinematography and how the characters looked, because of those costumes that are a little bit more, comic-y, a little bit homemade, And one thing I also want to say is that both Superman and the Fantastic Four had that really comic booky feel that apparently movies were afraid to get into back a couple years ago. So I love that they weren't afraid to show that. Superman had basically, I don't know how to explain it, like black holes and stuff, characters who could transform into fumes, stuff like that. And the Fantastic Four had basically a villain that could change sizes, rode on a spaceship, and wanted to eat planets. So both those movies have my approval on comic book movies, not just as movies, but as comic book movies. My only, really grabs with the movie is that it felt a little bit fast paced sometimes. With this 2 hour long runtime, I really wish that they could have, stretched it out a little bit more, especially to fit a couple more storylines for The Thing, for example, and a couple more things, in between to set more stuff up. And please, my last thing I will say for the movie is please stay for the post-credit scene. Just the first one. The second one you can also watch, but it's not as worth it, I'd say. Not as necessary. But the first one, watch it, please. So for me, the Fantastic Four First Steps gets an 8 out of 10. It's really good, but I wouldn't say it's not worth the 9 or 10. Really, really enjoyable movie. I really liked it a lot in the cast as well. So yeah, this is what I think of the Fantastic Four First Steps. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, leave a like, and comment down below your thoughts on the Fantastic Four First Steps if you've watched it. So yeah, I'm George. Peace out. Take care.